Greetings, boys, girls, and gender rebels. I'm Penny Underbust, and today you are joining me for a cold launch, soft launch of a new web series that I'm going to be calling Penny for Your Thoughts. I've been waiting for a series idea that suited that name well enough for me to use it since I started my YouTube channel. So basically, the whole premise of this is that I'm going to talk about a topic that I've been thinking about lately, but I feel like it's very open-ended. Like, my opinions and thoughts on this topic are just from my worldview, and I feel like there's more to it than I could possibly just think myself. So I'm going to pose sort of a question to you, the audience, and you can weigh in down in the comment sections, or hey, we can do this old YouTube style and you can make a video and link it down in the comment section for me to watch, or my other bunnies to watch, and just flesh out our feelings on this topic if it's something you're even remotely interested in. And that's my whole spiel for what it's going to be, and I feel like that's already gone on a little bit long, so let's actually get to the question. Has anybody else noticed how much more argumentative people have been in the last couple of years? Like, when I talk about argumentative here, I mean this more as like, okay, say you're having a conversation of some kind with your significant other, or if you don't have a significant other, then say a sibling, a parent, a colleague, someone who, for the most part, you feel fairly at ease with, someone who you don't regularly feel like you have to win over to your view or something like that. I've found that it's more common to talk to that person when discussing a point as if you are arguing that point now than it once was. For example, right now, me trying to convey this message to you, I'm having such a hard time not almost making it like an argument that I am trying to convince you of, when really it's just a discussion topic that I would much like to discuss with people. So, like, I think it has a lot to do with body language and wording choice. And I think that maybe if you aren't someone who finds yourself regularly watching people's body language and stuff like that to glean their opinions and feelings on the subject, then you might not even notice it at all. But I am a great studier of human body language and stuff like that. I think because of my social anxiety and stuff, I read people very quickly so I know how safe I am in an environment. And it's just second nature to me now at this point. But I've noticed that just generally when people are talking, they're much more argumentative now than they once were. And I was trying to heavily exaggerate it just then. But like, for example, if I was just talking about a topic that I had no personal investment in and I was just curious, I might talk about it a little bit more like this, just much more comfortably and casually. But I've found people are much more likely to talk like this at the moment. And I have a few theories as to why that is happening. So the first one that occurred to me is the whole internet echo chamber thing. Like, people, for those of you who haven't even heard of this as a concept, the way that the internet works to insularize communities is rather unique. Prior to the internet, when we shared an opinion, we had to share that with those in our immediate surroundings. So you were much more likely to have someone say, no, I disagree, or that's a shitty opinion, you should reevaluate that because you're hurting people's feelings, or like, ugh, you feel that way, but you're just being a dramatic crybaby. So all of the different people who I've just described here can now go on the internet and find their specific niche. So someone who would normally be stopped from having such a shitty, horrible, selfish opinion no longer really is told by people that it's shitty and selfish until they're well entrenched in it. Someone who is really sensitive is likely to surround themselves with way oversensitive people who confirm to them that, yes, being really sensitive and upset about things is totally normal and totally fine. So basically that's like the echo chamber. You're just surrounding yourself with people with the same views and feelings as you, which means that you lose sight of the objectivity of the world and other people's feelings and views. And you start to feel like I'm over, this has totally changed and I'm sorry, but that's probably just going to be how these videos work because this is how my thought patterns work and it's a bit messy up in here. An example of like the internet echo chamber would be something like Tumblr. When I was 19, 20, I discovered Tumblr, and I was going through a very large rebellious stage towards my my own self-imposed hatred of femininity. Because in my teenage years, I was a tomboy. Like, I was a hardcore tomboy. There was nothing feminine about me. I was so opposed to the thought of dresses and girly things in pink because I'd grown up playing video games, right, and liking boy things. So everything that was a girl thing was bad. So I, like, hated it. But then in my 19, 20-ish age range, kind of around when I started uploading stuff to the internet, I was like, fuck it. What's wrong with being a girl, Penny? You have these bits and pieces. Why not enjoy those parts of yourself? So I kind of delved into Tumblr and I got a little bit angry feminist for a while there. And because it was sort of like this insular thing of other people saying, yeah, it is fucked that people treat you differently for that. Yeah. And then everyone just feeding off each other and raging and building up hormones. And it was Cooper that actually broke me out of it. He was like, you know, Penny, like, those opinions are strong and valid to some degree, but you're getting very insular and out of touch with the way that the world is on these things. And the way that you argue them isn't something that will convince people who aren't already converted. And, you know, he's wonderful. He talked me out of my crazy stage. But it's very easy for even rational-minded people to get like that on the internet. Back to my original question here of people being much more argumentative, I think my first conclusion, once again, was that it was the echo chamber causing this. People being in their own little insular worlds, like, when they're introduced to someone of their other own insular little world, automatically feeling like they have to attack them, which means that even when you're talking to people who you do like, you have this constant sort of, well, I need to attack with my opinion thing going on. So I think that's a possibility. Another one is the political climate right now. And I understand that quite a few people watching this video aren't in the United States of America. But unfortunately, with the United States of America being such a world power as it is, American politics matters to the whole world. And because of how messed up American politics is right now, and I don't care what side you are on, I don't care, you should be able to acknowledge that everything that's happening right now is a giant, just mess. It's a mess. It makes us angry. It makes us on edge. It makes us have strong, angry opinions one side or the other, and also kind of feel like we can't voice them without being yelled at for having those opinions. And I think partially because of that, we're much more likely to be angry and aggressive in the way that we talk to each other. And then a third option that is, I think, also incredibly likely, but this is the last one that occurred to me. This argumentativeness is completely normal and natural for people of my current age group. So I'm 28. I'm about to hit that no longer a young adult and now just a fully fledged adult threshold of 30. I'm still a few years away, but like I'm getting there. And I wonder if just pretty much for the entirety of history, once you get over that young adult stage, once you're sort of somewhat entrenched in your views and opinions, if you don't naturally get somewhat argumentative about it, especially if you are a person who is of moderate to moderate high intelligence like I am. And I know that's a cocky thing to say, but like I'm not below average and I'm a little bit above average, but I'm not so high above average that I'm certain that I'm infallible. Like, in fact, I am very aware of my fallibility. So that might actually make me more defensive and more combative in my opinions. I try very hard for that not to be the case, but don't we all? And sometimes we fail. But yeah, like maybe it's just purely coincidental and it's only a thing that I am experiencing. And maybe it's something that's happening more frequently because my entire generation, us millennials of the specific age that I am, which is hardcore 90s kid, like, oof, right in that middle Pokemon fucking 90s kid tasty age. Like, we're all hitting the age that I'm talking about now. So maybe more of us are talking about this and bringing it to light. And since we are that prime entertainer age as well, like a lot of us have the biggest media jobs, like maybe it's just more in light because of that. It could 100% be coincidental. Or there could also be, completely aside from any of those argument reasons, that are entirely plausible, and I just haven't thought of them, which is kind of why I wanted to do this video series, because I'm sure you people have wonderful opinions that are just as fleshed out as mine, if not more so, in different areas of direction. And like I said, this is a soft launch. I don't have specific formatting for this video style yet, and I hope that the more that I do them, the better I will be at not going off on ranty topics and tangents and shit. But like I said, that's just the way my brain works. So don't hold out too much for that. Yeah, I hope this has been interesting. I hope you have an interest in engaging down in the comments section. If you want to find me elsewhere, if this is somehow the first video of mine that you have seen and you would like to find the other places that I do things, go to my website, pennyunderbus.com. You have access to all of the different places that I do things on the internet on that website. Yeah. From the bottom of my little black heart. Thank you so much for joining me, bunnies. I hope this was interesting. Bye! No. How do I ask this question? How do I do this? I did this so well with Cooper right before I filmed. I was trying to explain the premise of this video series to him, and I used this question as like an example, and it was so easy and natural, and I was just like a blah 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 blah, and it just came out really organically and really easily. And now that I have a camera on me, I don't know how to fucking ask. Okay. I'm drinking coffee. Okay.